Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into a real historical whodunit. We're on the hunt for a man who is one of history's most influential figures, a sage who literally wrote the book on yoga, and yet, his own life is almost a complete blank. Okay, so let's get right into this. It's a huge puzzle. Millions upon millions of people practice yoga. But the man who first systemized it, Patanjali, the father of what we call classical yoga, well, he's basically a ghost. His work, the Yoga Sutra, is this foundational text, but the man himself, he's vanished from the historical record. Kind of weird, right?
So why is he so hard to find? Well, to get it, we kind of have to rewire our modern brains. We have to step back into the culture he came from, a time and place where the ideas themselves were way, way more important than the individual who came up with them. You know how today we're obsessed with biographies, birth dates, family drama, personal quirks, the whole nine yards? Well, in ancient Indian intellectual traditions, that just wasn't the point at all. The goal was to preserve the knowledge, the teaching, in its purest form. The messenger didn't matter. The message was everything.
Okay, so if there are no official records, no birth certificate, no diary, where do we even start? Well, this is where it gets interesting. We have to become biographical detectives, and we're working with two very different sets of clues, which paint two completely different pictures of who this guy was. So on one side, you have this spare, careful black and white sketch that historians have pieced together from little linguistic clues. And on the other side, you have this vibrant, epic, full-color portrait that's been painted by centuries of legend and tradition.
And I mean, the contrast is just night and day. Historians use textual evidence to suggest he was this highly educated scholar living around the 2nd century BCE. But the legend tells a much bigger story. He didn't just have a normal birth, he literally fell from the heavens into his mother's praying hands. For them, he wasn't just some smart guy, he was a divine gift.
And just when you think it can't get any more complicated, it does. The mystery deepens big time when we look at the incredible body of work that's attributed to him. This kicks off a huge debate that scholars still argue about.
So tradition doesn't just give the name Patanjali one masterpiece. It gives him a trifecta of pure genius. We're talking about complete mastery over the mind with yoga, complete mastery over language with a foundational text on Sanskrit grammar, and complete mastery over the body with a treatise on Ayurveda or medicine. I mean, what a resume.
But that right there raises the million-dollar question. Is it even possible for one person, in one lifetime, to become a top-tier master in 3 incredibly deep and different fields? It's led a lot of scholars to wonder, are we really looking at one superhuman genius? Or could we be looking at 3 different experts who just happen to have the same popular name?
And when you actually put the works side by side, you can see why they're so skeptical. The Yoga Sutras is written in these super tight, concise little nuggets of wisdom. You could almost think of them as ancient philosophical tweets. But the grammar text, the Mahapashya, it's this massive, sprawling, incredibly detailed commentary. The style, the focus, they're just so different that many experts find it hard to believe they came from the same author.
Okay, so there's a lot of debate, a lot of fog, but let's find some solid ground. To really get to the heart of the matter, we have to focus on the one work that everyone, scholars, tradition, everyone agrees is his, the Yoga Sutra. This is our breakthrough clue.
This is where we finally get to meet the man. Not in some dusty historical record, but inside his central idea. This is his core contribution, the concept that's echoed for 2,000 years, and it gives us the clearest possible picture of his brilliant mind.
Now, this is absolutely crucial. When we hear yoga today, we almost always think of physical postures, right? Stretching, flexibility. But for Patanjali, that wasn't the main event. For him, yoga was a rigorous science of the mind. It was a disciplined, systematic method to understand and ultimately to transform human consciousness itself.
And this one elegant, famous line says it all. It's his whole project in a nutshell. Yoga is the cessation of the fluctuations of the mind. So what are these fluctuations? Think about the constant chatter in your own head. The worries, the plans, the memories, the noise. Patanjali's goal was to provide a method to quiet all that down so we can see reality with perfect clarity.
But here's the thing that makes him such a genius. He wasn't just a philosopher who came up with a cool theory. He was a pragmatist. He didn't just tell you what the goal was. He gave you a practical, actionable, step-by-step user's manual on how to get there.
He laid it all out in what's known as Ashtanga Yoga, and that's pronounced Astanga, the Eightfold Path. And just look at how logical it is. It starts on the outside with your ethics, how you behave in the world, and then it systematically moves inward from your body and your breath to your senses, all the way to the deepest states of concentration and meditation. He drew the entire map.
So when you think about it, even though his personal life story is lost to time, his intellectual life story is very much alive. In a way, his real biography isn't about a person who lived and died. It's the incredible journey his ideas have taken through the centuries.
And we can actually trace that journey. He composes the sutras around the 2nd century BCE. A few hundred years later, a sage named Vyasa writes the first major commentary on it. Through the medieval era, other brilliant minds debated it, integrated it with other philosophies, and that brings us right up to today, where his work is the philosophical backbone for a global tradition.
And as his ideas traveled through time, his own image transformed. He became more than just a man. He evolved into a symbol of the profound wisdom that he taught, often shown as this semi-divine figure, with the lower body of a serpent, which is a symbol of infinite knowledge.
And that really brings us to the key takeaway here. Patanjali's biography isn't something you can just find in a history book. It's alive. It continues in every yoga studio, in every meditation hall, in every critical discussion of his ideas. His story is still being written, right now.
So that leaves us with one final thought. Patanjali's whole point was that yoga is not a belief, it's a practice. It's something you do. So maybe the only real way to understand who he was isn't to search for him in the past, but to engage with his timeless method for understanding our own minds. Is his true biography something to be read, or is it something to be lived?